And good evening and welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. My guest this evening is Bonnie Riemschneider, who is on the board for the Connecticut Port Authority and also the first selectman in Old Lyme, Connecticut. Bonnie, welcome. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good to see
Pete?
you. I'm
Good
great. I'm great.
too.
Thanks for coming down. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we start talking Port Authority. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the town that you're first selectwoman in.
So I am first selectman in the town of Old Lyme. Okay. I've been first selectman there since 2011, but I was on the board of selectmen since 2003. So quite a bit of time with the town, and it's a wonderful town, as you know.
Yes.
Bordered on two sides by water, Long Island Sound and the Connecticut River. Right. So it's a perfect fit for me to be interested in the Connecticut Port Authority.
Now, how did you get involved with the Connecticut Port Authority and on their board?
I was appointed by the legislature. The Speaker of the House actually appointed me. Okay. At the time, I think it's not the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader. Okay. Right now, I think I forget who it is, but so I was appointed, and when I was asked to be on the Port Authority, I was very interested because, as I said, we're bordered by two sides of water. Okay. So, maritime industry is all around us. Mm-hmm.
And what exactly is the Port Authority and what do you guys do?
Well, the Port Authority was formed by the state of Connecticut to try to increase economic development around the ports. We have 3 deep water ports. We all know Bridgeport, New Haven, and New London. And we have 35 cities and towns that have marinas or a maritime industry on water. And that's not just Long Island Sound, it's also rivers and water access. Mm-hmm. So we really do have a big umbrella.
Okay. Now, exactly for for my viewers who are not aware of the Connecticut Port Authority, can you maybe tell us what and why the Port Authority is?
Well, the Port Authority was formed so that we could put a focus on economic development. We are trying to coordinate the 3 ports. Mm-hmm. Our asset is in New London. The state pier is in New London, and it's the only pier that the state itself owns. Okay. But there are 3 deep water ports, and if we can find synergy between the 3 of them and create an environment where economic development is increasing, then that's really what we want to do. But we don't want to forget our small harbors either, because the maritime industry, you're talking about boaters and marinas and other kinds of work, fisheries. We have a big maritime industry in the state of Connecticut. So we are trying to coordinate all of that, support all of that. And the best part about being on the Connecticut Port Authority, in my view, is that we are focusing on economic development. We're trying to do something to make Connecticut grow. We're not looking at the problems, we're looking at solutions and trying to develop economic development.
You guys sound like a very busy organization.
We are quite busy.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess you guys actually work with a company out of New Haven called Gateway Terminal?
Yes, as a matter of fact, just recently we signed a concession agreement with Gateway Terminal to become the new port operator at the State Pier in New London. Okay. We're very excited about this because Gateway Terminal has a very good reputation. They know their business. Oh, yeah. We interviewed a few different respondents to our RFQ, and we were impressed with them, and we felt that they could really bring the State Pier in New London up to the kind of activity that we believe it can handle. In addition, they're very interested in bringing in wind. So, and we could talk more about that too.
Oh, absolutely. So what exactly do they do as far as being involved with the Port Authority?
The Gateway Terminal, they will become the port operator. So they are going to be having ships come in and for various reasons.
Right.
They will handle all of that coordination. They will be out there marketing the state pier to different ships who need to come in and offload their products. Yeah. There are ports that have lumber, steel. Salt is a big thing right now in New London. Mm-hmm. We have a big salt distributor in New London, but there's plenty of opportunity for lots of other things. So it's really going to be their job to increase that activity there, which is going to be wonderful for New London because there's going to be opportunity for jobs and the side jobs, the restaurants and the other smaller companies around the state pier that will benefit from that economic development.
Very cool. Now let's talk about the wind aspect of things and what role that's going to play.
Well, we hope that wind will play a big role in the state pier. As many people know, wind has become a buzzword. There are, for people who are unaware, there are 5 new windmills out near Block Island.
Okay.
And it's becoming a new source for green energy, and can provide some of our energy needs in the state of Connecticut and other surrounding states. There are companies that are developers of wind farms, and they are looking for places to bring in their equipment, their blades, their generators. And this is a very big, the materials are huge. So a port that doesn't have a bridge that it has to go under to get to is definitely something that is of interest to the wind developers. And New London doesn't have a bridge between the pier and Long Island Sound. So Gateway actually is the one that is developing the relationship between a major wind developer named Ørsted.
Okay.
And they're in combination with Eversource, and we're hoping that we'll see a deal come through where New London will become the wind center of New England.
Cool.
That would be wonderful.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, what is the mission for the Port Authority in Connecticut?
Well, the mission is about economic development. Again, we have 3 deep water ports that we believe have far more potential than what they're doing now.
Okay.
We are very close proximity to a major port of New York and New Jersey, so it can be a challenge to get those going. But the Port Authority will have the opportunity to really see where there's some synergy that would be of benefit to all 3 ports.
Okay.
So it's really looking for those opportunities, maybe finding some niche in the market, but also paying attention to those small harbors that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
There are marinas that need dredging, towns and cities that have dredging needs. That falls under our purview. So it boils down to economic development and looking for those opportunities.
Now, how instrumental was Senator Paul Formica during the whole Port Authority process?
Well, I think he was very aware of the Port Authority when it was first formed.
Okay.
Recently, when we signed the concession agreement with Gateway, Senator Formica was very helpful in working out an agreement between Gateway, the Connecticut Port Authority, and the City of New London that actually gives the City of New London an impact fee that helps for the services that the city provides for Connecticut Port Authority. In addition to the impact fee, which is a common way to handle port piers within cities, they will also be sharing in a portion of our revenues. So they have a guaranteed income on an annual basis, but if we increase the activity at the port of New London, they will get a bigger share of that because it's based on a percentage with a bottom foundation that they will get every year. Fermica was in on the meetings. He has a very calm demeanor and is very creative thinker, so it was very helpful having him there.
Nice. Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Pardon?
Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Oh, of course.
We'll be right back.
With newspapers and media outlets merging all over the country, communities are losing their local voice.
There's so much going on in the community that I think doesn't really, there's a lot of folks who are unaware of it. And I think things like this can bring it out into the community and in that way kind of bring the community together.
Information and to our residents is the key to good governance. And with the national media and local media not often covering us, this is an excellent opportunity for us constantly to communicate with our constituents and also to have them communicate with us.
The best outcomes will be achieved through a community-based organization that grows its operation and scale by means of locally produced programming.
All of our content is volunteer produced, so we do shows from talk shows to music shows, working with high schools.
VSC TV is committed to ensuring that the investment made to secure these powerful tools will pay great dividends in the community for many, many years.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show, sitting here with Bonnie Riemschneider from the Connecticut Port Authority. Bonnie, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Bonnie, tell us, for our viewers that are just joining us, tell us a little bit about the Connecticut Port Authority and how it was formed and established.
So the Connecticut Port Authority was established about three or 4 years ago by the legislature. And our mission is to oversee, or actually support, the 3 deep water ports of Bridgeport, New Haven, and New London, as well as the 35 cities and towns that have marinas and maritime industry, countless rivers that have marinas going up them. We want to pay attention to those too, because the maritime industry is very important to the state of Connecticut. So the Port Authority has a board of 15 members.
Okay.
They were all appointed by either legislators or the governor, various walks of life, some with experience in ports and maritime industries, some like me, who represent towns. Right. I've never had a focus on the maritime industry, but I'm very interested because our town of Old Lyme is bordered by 2 sides, the Connecticut River and Long Island Sound. So we have an interest in the maritime industry.
And obviously you guys are based out of Old Saybrook, the Port Authority offices?
The new office is in Old Saybrook, which is a great fit.
Yeah.
It's really about halfway along the shore, accessible by Hartford, New Haven, New London, really a nice fit for the location. And of course it's convenient for me because as vice chair I may have to go to the office on occasion, so it's mighty close.
I was going to say, you're right across the river.
But I didn't choose it. I was happy that they did.
Exactly, because you're right across the river
Exactly.
from the office.
Right.
So what else do we want to tell our viewers about the Connecticut Port Authority?
Well, it's wonderful being on the Port Authority because we're looking for opportunities.
Okay.
We're looking for solutions.
Right.
We're looking to increase economic development in the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
We're looking to support businesses, which
Right.
is something that Connecticut needs to do.
Absolutely.
And I think that as we move forward, we're going to see a lot of activity in the ports. We really need to take advantage of a growing economy, and we have to be on the forefront of it. We need to see our ports working.
And I know we talked about this during our first segment, but how many ports are there in Connecticut and where are they located?
Well, there are 35 harbors.
Okay.
And those are small harbors.
Right.
There are 3 deep water ports, and by deep water ports, it means that a ship can go in to call. They can go in and unload their cargo.
Right.
And they can move around so they can leave and they won't get grounded. So there's Bridgeport, there's New Haven, and there's New London. New London has the State Pier in it. It also has City Pier, and it has Fort Trumbull that has a pier. The State Pier is overseen by the Connecticut Port Authority, and we just signed a concession agreement for a new port operator there.
And that would be?
And that is Gateway Terminal
Out of New Haven.
Right. And they've formed Gateway of New London, and they will be running the port. We're very excited about it because they know what they're doing. They're doing a great job.
When's that going to take effect?
I believe it takes effect around April 1st, so very soon. It may be a little before or after, but it's somewhere in that vicinity. So we're right on the cusp of beginning our relationship with Gateway Terminal.
Cool, very nice. Then they've been pretty good to work with so far.
We have had very robust meetings. Good. We're excited about having them, and we feel that we're going to see a lot more activity at the Port of New London.
There you go. So the Port of New London actually sounds like a pretty busy place.
Well, I think it can be much busier. Of course, we also have the Navy base in New London,
Absolutely.
So there are submarines going in and out of there. Electric boat is right across the harbor on the Groton side.
The Coast Guard Academy.
The Coast Guard Academy is there. Very often we see the Eagle docked at port in the summertime. Usually they're docked at City Pier, I think, or at the Coast Guard Pier.
Right.
But the State Pier is really our purview. That's the one that we're concerned about, and I think that we're going to see a lot more activity there.
Very, very nice. And I'm assuming during the summer that the pier is actually a pretty busy place.
Yes, it is. Yep, a lot of activity, especially when a ship comes in to call. Have you ever been to a port when a ship has come in?
I have not.
It's fascinating.
It's
fabulous to see the activity. I've seen when the salt ship came in to unload the salt, and it's just, it's amazing to see the amount of salt they have in that hold.
That might be something cool to see. Maybe,
Yeah.
Maybe one of these days.
Maybe one of these days you can come and visit when they're in port. Yeah.
Definitely. That's got to be pretty cool to see them unload all the salt.
Yes.
Or the sand.
Yes.
Depending on what type of commodity that they're carrying.
Exactly.
Because it depends on what type of day as far as what they carry, as far as what gets delivered.
Right.
And I'm assuming with the salt and the sand, because they bring the salt and the sand to most of the local state and municipalities, so most of the salt and sand, you working for a municipality, I'm sure you guys even see.
Yes, that's correct, we do. That's exactly what it's for. A lot of the municipalities and a lot of the snowplowers and that sort of thing.
Now, we talked a little bit about in the first segment, and we just touched on it briefly, but tell us a little bit about the State Pier and where exactly it's located.
The State Pier is in New London.
Okay.
And it actually, many people don't realize, but there is actually a railroad that comes down to the State Pier. Some of the rails actually come on to the State Pier.
Really?
And we're hoping to see that develop a little bit more. Anytime you can connect a pier with railroad, it's a terrific thing, you know, because one of the advantages to using our piers is that we're getting the big tractor trailers off the highway.
Oh, yeah.
And that helps with congestion. So we'll see what the future brings, but we're working on that as well.
Now, recently the big news that was announced was a State Pier in New London. Can you explain the exciting development there?
Well, that actually is the Gateway Terminal,
all right.
Signing the concession agreement.
Okay.
And as part of that, it's the agreement that we have with the City of New London. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, the governor came down to the City of New London to announce this agreement between Connecticut Port Authority, Gateway Terminal, and the City of New London, where the City of New London is going to get an impact fee on an annual basis, and they are also going to get a portion of our revenues. And that really helps the city. New London is a small city, and having some income from this venture is going to be very helpful to them.
What exactly is an impact fee?
An impact fee means that because we are in business in the City of New London, there are services that we are able to take advantage of. For instance, the plowing of the roads,
Right.
the fire department, the police department, things we may not use every day,
Exactly.
but they're there should the need arise. If we ever had, God forbid, a fire somewhere, it's the New London Fire Department that would respond.
Right.
If there were a criminal issue, it's the police that would respond.
Yes.
In the bad weather, the roads give access to our employees to get there,
Right.
or Gateway's employees to get there.
Exactly.
So it's the impact that we have on the city that we're really paying for.
And you said that there's another part of it where.
Yes, so every time a ship comes into call,
Yeah.
We get a revenue
Okay.
out of that, because they're paying different fees for dockage and wharfage and that kind of activity. We get a portion of that, and New London will get a portion of our revenue.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And so it's basically it sounds like a good partnership.
It's a great partnership. Yes, it is. Yeah,
and it sounds like a win-win situation for everybody.
it certainly is.
Exactly. Now, can you maybe tell us what is the SHIP program, and can municipalities or Connecticut what are the Connecticut entitled benefits?
So the SHIP program is Small Harbor Improvement Projects Program.
Okay.
And this is how we're taking care of our small harbors.
Aha.
We've actually had phase one of that.
Okay.
And we have had 18 projects that we've funded. 15 municipalities have been able to take part in that. This is a program for municipalities.
All right.
Those small harbors that I was referring to before, the municipalities that have a maritime industry. So some of the projects that we have funded have been harbor management plans. They've been access plans, so somebody needs better access to a river or the sound, and we've funded that. The SHIP program has $5 million per year to help small harbors, and we've already had our first phase, which distributed $5 million, and we're just getting ready to have phase two. So we're really excited to be opening that opportunity to municipalities. It will be another $5 million or more that
Okay.
we have available.
Excellent.
And municipalities can learn how to apply for the SHIP grant by going on the Connecticut Port Authority website, which is ctportauthority.com.
Okay.
And just type in SHIPP. There
Okay.
are two P's. And it'll come to a page where the documents are there for applying for the SHIP grant. But it's very exciting to be able to help those municipalities accomplish something that maybe there's no other way that they could have accomplished.
Definitely.
And of course, that in itself is economic development
Exactly.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what's next for the Port Authority?
Well, we're going to continue our SHIP program. We are going to be working hard to make sure that this new partnership with Gateway turns into a very healthy partnership.
Absolutely.
We're hoping that the future holds wind for us.
Okay.
We're hoping that New London will become the center of the wind industry for Connecticut and New England.
All right.
Because that really is a big up-and-coming product and projects that are going on out there. And we're already talking with the leaders in the wind industry to develop a partnership for New London. So I think that we're going to see some great economic development. I think we're going to see some great jobs and opportunities for small businesses in the New London area. So I would say stay tuned.
Okay.
Because we're going to be really seeing some wonderful things happening.
Now, what types of information can people find on the website for the Port Authority?
Well, they can certainly find out about the history of the Port Authority.
Okay.
They can find out about our staff. We have an executive director, Evan Matthews,
Yep.
who does a lot of marketing about the state of Connecticut and what we have to offer to shippers, and of course the support staff is there.
Right.
They can find out about the SHIP program, and they can find out about the board,
Cool.
the various board members.
Excellent. Bonnie Riemschneider from the Connecticut Port Authority, thanks for coming down. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of Bonnie Riemschneider, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night. We'll see you next time.